Cowboys Crosstalk.
Check this out.
Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. Brought to you by Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com. The National Medal of Honor Museum. Discover the National Medal of Honor Museum and witness real people, real stories, and real courage. All-Tech Lansing. Just listen with All-Tech Lansing, perfecting sound since 1927. And by SWBC Mortgage. Customized solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit SWBC.com. Now, your hosts, Nate Newton and Bobby Belt.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome in to Cowboys Crosstalk, live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco, Texas. I am not your host, Bobby Belt. My name is Tommy Yarsh of DallasCowboys.com. Alongside me is Corey Majors from 105.3 The Fan. We're joined, as always, by the three-time Super Bowl champion, six-time Pro Bowler, Nate Newton. And our special guest this evening is former Cowboys defensive end, Pro Bowl defensive end, Anthony Spencer.
Yes.
Anthony, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for making some time.
I appreciate it.
Thank you all for joining us here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network, DallasCowboys.com, and all other associated social media platforms. Now that all that's out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into your past a little bit here, Anthony. Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Yes.
Born and raised
Born
in
and raised.
Bishop High School. I thought that was really interesting, just kind of looking back at that. You were the 3-year starter there.
Yeah.
You only lost 3 games.
Right.
What do you remember about your high school days and those 2 state championships you won?
I remember the losses. I remember the losses more than anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
As a true competitor.
Yeah. It was a lot of good times. Like my first year in the freshman class that we had, we only lost the 3 times that we went through the SAC was our conference, and we just beat everybody our freshman year. And then we all kind of got moved up that year. And then just getting a little bit of taste of how varsity football was, it was kind of mind-blowing, the difference between freshman to varsity. And then once I became our very first game, we lost as varsity. Like, we lost against a 5A team, and we got demolished. And I remember us all being at Burger King after the game, just talking about how we all got whooped up on, and it was just like, we can't have this happening. And then after that, it's like all of us kind of just held everybody accountable. Like, do your job, I'll do my job, and then we just went on a winning spree.
Y'all went a Belichicking out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let me ask. So were you just a one-sport guy, or did you get into
I loved basketball. Basketball was my number one sport growing up. I had a lot of hoop dreams. I thought that I was going to be the next Michael Jordan, but I learned quickly, like, playing AAU, because that was every summer in Indiana. It was just always basketball. So probably around sophomore year, I was playing that power forward, center, swing guard position. The guys started being 6'6", 6'7", so I was like, I'm not matching up well. So it pushed me into the football world a lot more.
The kids watching this show just got the 6'7".
My kids love that.
I knew as soon as you said that you said your kids would love it.
Yeah.
Now, was NFL always a dream, or was it kind of like at some point it became a dream?
At one point, it became a dream. I was always doing what I had to do what I wanted to do. And that kind of just, one thing led to another. I was really good at basketball and I was really good at football. I had scholarships to do both. But just me seeing the writing on the wall, I guess to say, just to see that I was better at football. Like, I got more accolades and more praise for it. So I just stayed with what I was good at.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Looking back, we'll talk about the NFL here in just a little bit, but when your recruitment was going on, you end up going to Purdue.
Yeah.
What other offers did you have, and what went into that decision? Was it wanting to stay close to home, and what was it about Coach Tiller that made you want to commit to the Boilermakers?
The biggest thing that separated, I had offers from Texas A&M, Michigan State. I had offers from all over, because I would go to these camps and they were like, oh, you're really good. I would get offered at the camp, but my grades weren't good. So Purdue, they were like a lot of teams were like, he's not going to be able to get eligible. What they really tried, like, Purdue helped me. Like, they helped me. They told me I need to take night school. They told me what classes I should really take over, what I should focus on, and even the SAT, like telling me like to go take a test or practice test for the SAT. Like, they just got me prepared. You know what I mean? And that really showed me that they wanted me there. And then once I got my grades right, everybody came back like offers out of Wahoo, but I was like, no, I'm gonna go to Purdue because it was just like they wanted me there, and it was like, I don't know. Right. I always try to just read between the lines in life. You know what I mean? Because there's always options. You got choices. The choices that you make is really gonna shape your life. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I really looked at those things before I made decisions like that.
And then just with Coach Tiller, he was there for a really long time, and especially by the time that you had gone there, what was your relationship like with him, and how did you see it grow over the years there, especially going into the senior year where you had your best year in college football?
Accountability-wise, because like I said, like my grades, that didn't change when I got to college. You know what I mean? So it was like just him keeping me accountable to my grades and just the amount of work that I put into things, and then the gratitude and the things that I had for what I had done for myself. You know what I mean? It made it more important. You know what I mean? And just him showing me how to make things important in my life, how I went about it, the decisions that I was making, and he was just like more of a father figure. A lot of coaches that I probably had 3-4 different position coaches while I was there, but each one of them brought different aspects of my personality out. You know what I mean? So they had guys that yelled at me and tried to get it out to me, and then guys that explained to me, like, if you just did X, like, it was just a lot of different personalities. And now, today, it just really helped shape me and to be able to, because I coach with my kids now. So, like, when I'm coaching certain kids, it's like I don't get through to them if I'm yelling or being a certain type of way. So it's like everybody responds to different.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? So it's like I learned all that from Coach Tiller and all the other coaches I had while I was at Purdue.
Let me. So the accolades, man. He said your senior year. I mean, tell me about it, man.
Yeah, this is what like, so my junior year, went to that little combine thing, right, and then I was projected to be a 6th-round pick. And the guys I was playing with that went out that year, they were 3rd, 2nd, 4th-round picks. I'm like, I'm just as good or if not better than these guys. So I went to home for whatever break it was. I was working at General Motors during that time. And, like, my mom, she worked at General Motors for a really long time. But during that time when I was working at General Motors, I was making $17, $20 an hour, which I thought was, you know what I mean, like a lot of freaking money back then. So, but after working there for like 3-4 weeks and not having what I thought I should have out of it, you know what I mean, like it's a lot of hard work. It put perspective on the work that I was doing at Purdue. So I went back to Purdue after that, like 3 weeks of summer. And I went back. I did every rep. I ran. I tried to be the first in every race. I just pushed myself to the end. You know what I mean? Because I saw the life that I could be living in Fort Wayne and working at General Motors and doing those things. But it's like, if I just push myself a little bit more, and you know what I mean, and it wasn't hard. You know what I mean, it was like before it was hard. You know what I mean, when I looked at it, it was a lot of things that I didn't want to do, but it just put things in perspective and made football easy. It made me enjoy it and love it because it's a game. You know what I mean, like who has the opportunity to play a game for a living? And I tell the same thing to my kids, like, you do a lot of work now so that you can have a lot of choices later.
Right. Well, that work paid off, and you certainly made it look easy. 10.5 sacks, led the team, 93 tackles. That was 3rd on the team.
Wow.
First team All Big Ten, 3rd team All American. We can just keep on going down the list, but that was a really special year.
Yeah, I was that style of football up there. Yeah. I always look at all the conferences, and I'm like, there's a lot of pageantry in Big 12. There's a lot of it feels fast on the West Coast.
Right.
But up there, it's like this smash mouth style of football.
Right.
Did you kind of see the same thing?
Yes, for sure. Like, and that was the Big Ten, now it's completely different.
Yeah.
It's just,
Just a little bit.
Yeah, right.
You weren't playing at Oregon next
Right.
week or
Exactly.
anything like that.
Yeah, but the culture there, it was just like more just in your face fight, like who's tougher than who type of situation. And our team, my senior year, junior year, like we built our like foundation around that. Like we competed against each other. And it's like I feel like it showed too, because like they're like Ninkovich, Cliff, all these guys that are coming out of Purdue during that time is because we were steel sharper than steel. You know what I mean? Like we all were working against each other, making each other better during that time.
Wow.
Well, it certainly worked, and really that hard-nosed style is the Big Ten. I feel like is always, regardless of the shifting landscape of college football, it's always been known for who's the toughest team, who's the most hard-nosed team on the interior, and specifically on the interior. That's kind of where the nose area was kind of where you had started your career. And then when we get to our next segment, we're going to go and take our first break here. We're going to talk about the move that Anthony Spencer made to the outside. And when you became a first-round pick back in 2007, the Cowboys moved you outside. And trivia question for all of you guys heading into the break here. He ended up starting next to a guy in Dallas who wore the number 94. I know it's going to be really difficult to figure out who that is, but we'll talk about that and more coming up on our next segment here of Cowboys Crosstalk.
Clear.
Go Cowboys! Back to SWBC Mortgage's Dallas Cowboys Crosstalk.
Yeah, check this out.
Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
And welcome back to Cowboys Crosstalk, brought to you by our friends at SWBC. at SWBC. Customized solutions for individuals and businesses are just a click away. Visit SWBC.com to learn more and start your next adventure. All right, we're back here on Cowboys Crosstalk at the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. Coming to you live from the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network, DallasCowboys.com, and all other associated social media platforms. That is a mouthful, but we are so back, and now we're going to dive a little bit more into Anthony Spencer, who was our special guest tonight, NFL career. We talked going into the break a little bit about what do you remember from draft night in 2007?
I remember not wanting to have people at the house and then getting to the house and it was full of people. And my mom wanted to have a party and all that stuff. But I've always been, like, to myself and, like, just, I don't know. I don't like the hoopla. I don't like the hype. I don't like the hype. Yeah, I've never been like that. So that's what I remember most about it. But it was a very exciting time for me just because I wasn't sure where I was going to go. Like, I had projections of where I was going to be at, and I had visited so many different teams and talked to so many different people during that time that it was just like I had no idea. But once I knew where I was going to go, it was very exciting because I knew of the Cowboys because they were America's team,
right,
so to say. But as a young child growing up, I didn't watch football. Like, I wasn't a football fan. Like, I was more into basketball and stuff like that. So just for me, just to know the organization and the people that I was going to be around, like, it made it easier, I feel like.
And then being a first-round pick, regardless of year, you come in with high expectations, and usually you're looked at as you're going to be starting playing early.
Right.
Well, for you, Greg Ellis is still dealing with the injury, and all right, we're moving you outside, and you're starting next to DeMarcus Ware. What was that rookie season like, and how much did D. Ware help you early on?
Man, D. Ware was awesome for me. Like, I remember the first day I got there, and he was just like, he's just yelling my name across the locker room. And I don't even know who he is, and he walking up and just embracing me and making it just feel at home. You know what I mean? Just like they wanted me there. Like, it was like the same type of thing that I felt when I went to Purdue. So, and just D. Ware and even Greg. Greg was super helpful for me on my first year. Like, even with it being like a business and I'm taking his job or having us having the same job, he wasn't ever like not trying to help me. So that was another big just thing because I didn't really understand how the business of the game worked at that time. Like, when I got here, like, I knew I was going to be backing him up, but I didn't know that he was going to be leaving. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know I was going to be like taking his position in that type of way. But then for it to turn out how it did and him to be the person that he was to me, like, it just made it easier for me when new guys came in to be able to feed into them and just give them knowledge and to, I don't know, just to push it forward. Like, but D. Ware and Greg were both awesome when I first got here.
You know, sometimes you're in high school, man among boys, you go to college, it's good, then you get to the NFL. The power, the difference in strength of guys across from you, how different was that? Was there a wake-up call there?
Yes, for sure. So that first training camp, it was like playing a high school or college game every practice. You know what I mean? So it was a lot different. So it made me better, faster. Like, in the guys that we had on the team on that offensive line that first year, like, they made me get ready for the league. You know what I mean? Just the practices were the hardest thing during the week. You know what I mean? Then when we got into the game, it was just like I'm doing what I was doing in practice all week. So it made it a lot easier just competing against guys of that caliber. You know what I mean?
Yeah, having that kind of coaching staff is always nice.
Right.
I hope I ain't jumping the gun, but now what position did he play in college? Because you had a question.
Was I incorrect about that?
Yeah, what position did you play in college?
I played defensive end in college. So I went from.
Well, there you go. There's my first mistake as host tonight. I'm never coming back.
No,
we kind of sliced in a 3-4 edge, right?
Yeah.
Like, that was what he did.
Yeah, but you said I played nose when I was in high school,
right?
And then I moved to defensive end.
So I'm not fired. Is what
Exactly.
Yeah, but I just wanted to know because I kind of missed that part. So I'm like. Because a lot of guys get moved around coming out of high school. You the biggest guy, even though you ain't the biggest guy when you get get to high school, even middle school, then you ain't the biggest guy when you get to college.
Yeah.
And so, like I was just the biggest guy, you know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to know him because a lot of guys start at one position, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, this kid developed from a nose guard to an outside linebacker.
And it's like as I got further along into my career, it's just like I moved further and further away from the ball.
Oh, yeah.
What is that transition like as you look back on it now? It sometimes when you see guys move around, as from fans or from an outsider's perspective, it's okay, they're moving a little bit more to the outside.
Yeah.
What changes and what are the difficulties of changing that when you move from not just high school to college, but especially college to the NFL?
Responsibilities. So as a defensive end, it's pretty much straightforward. You're going to get the quarterback. If the guy goes down, you do such and such. But when you have a linebacker position, like you're in the pass routes now and the coverages and it's just a lot more. The checks and and I loved it because it made me know more about the defense. It helped me learn more about what this guy was doing and what that guy was doing. So it made me do my job easier.
Nate, you were talking this morning when you were on with our morning show, Sean and RJ and Bobby. And you were talking about, when you learn pop, use your hands, reset the guy.
Right.
And I was just thinking, my kids in middle school, I'm teaching them these things like that. And I was like, oh man, I got to get him, powerful right there. But I was kind of curious because the reset. He reset you. How when you get reset, what's your going through your mind? Because it's a lot of instinct, but you just got moved off. Now you still got to get to the quarterback.
Right. So my first couple of years, it was a lot of, I wouldn't say growing pains, just because I was having to learn how to move backwards and then move forwards in certain different situations. So if it was a pass, then I would be in coverage. And if it was a run, then I should be going forward. So just getting my feet together, the footwork was just the biggest thing for the progression in my first couple of years. It's just making sure that I didn't false step, and it was just a lot of little things. And I mean, I feel like that was what really made good players good, is that they had to focus on the little things and do the little things like they were your job.
The details at this level are the difference, the margins.
And see, when I'm playing a guy like him that's a great pass rusher, and I want him into his second move, because if I can get him into his second move, that give my quarterback a chance to get that first read. So that's why I'm saying if I'm sitting back on him and he's outside linebacker, if I can get him to stir to his feet, that gives my quarterback even a better chance to make that read. But if he's moving into me in one fluid movement and he's coming off that edge, now I'm losing a step.
Okay.
And if he get even with me, he leaving me, and my quarterback going to have to make a move. Right. He either going to get knocked out or he going to scramble away.
And that was the biggest thing for me, like I said, with the feet work, is just making sure that I was on the tackle by the time it was time for me to be on the tackle, and I'm not back on the line. And it was just like figuring that part out was the hardest part.
When you were studying, Nate, did you go, okay, that's his first move. His second move will be this.
Yes.
And so you were already thinking.
The great players, you can see it. You just ain't gonna stop.
They're setting you up. They're setting you up.
You just roll right into the next.
But an average player, oh my God, all day. But a player that was fluent, like he said, had his steps down, he looking at your feet too.
Right.
Because if you turn too much to that sideline, he dipping and going.
Right.
But if you try to stay straight up, he got choices. He can speed, power, your speed. So it's and like I say, it can be a battle. You can have your hands full.
Well, you said a lot of guys had their hands full with you, Anthony, but especially in that 2012 season when you go for 11 sacks and a Pro Bowl. What do you feel like clicked that year? What was it not that you weren't great in the earlier years, but what was it about the details that finally came together?
I think it was the responsibility that I started to have with the defense. I just knew it more. I knew where I was supposed to be. I knew how to do my job, and if I didn't do my job, I knew how to get in the place to do my job. I just knew a lot. I just knew a lot more than I did when I first started, and I feel like that's just a progression of football. As you play, people study you, and as they study you, you got to continue to recreate your moves and yourself to stay relevant.
Got to work those hands a little bit more. Got to get now the responsibilities. It's not just go get the quarterback.
No,
you got to play the run too.
Right.
And I mean, this is an important part of what we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
How like when you're the instinct of seeing what's happening, knowing the play. You did a lot of studying just to get to that game, but then now I'm on the field and I know my responsibility. I got to seal this edge,
right?
Because if this guy goes,
I believe that was the same year D. Ware had a lot of just more injuries at you, so he didn't play as much, and so I was put into that role where I was rushing more and having the opportunity to just do more. Yeah, I mean, like when you're. If I don't have to worry about if the quarterback's passing or running, then I can just go. All my attention is going forward all the time, and I don't have to be going back if it's passing.
Right.
It changes your whole aggressiveness of your person in the game.
And, I think Corey was bringing up how it's relevant to this Cowboys team. I think, too, you were getting some really good quarterback play from Tony Romo over the course of your time in Dallas. You're seeing a lot of the same thing with Dak Prescott now here in 2025. Complementary football is what every coach, regardless of level in football, is looking for.
Right.
In your mind, what goes into it from a defensive standpoint that needs to happen to capitalize for your offense, and what did go into it with Tony back when you were playing?
The turnover battle, I feel like, was always the biggest thing. Like, you have to win the turnover battle when you can't – I wouldn't say you can't stop people, but when you are – I don't even know how to explain it, but you have to win the turnover battle, like, because if you're not getting turnovers, because your team is keeping pace with the other team, like points wise. Yeah, if they score, we score. If they score, we score. We try to just find a spot in there where we could get a field goal or a turnover and give it back to our team, so they can get that points where they're just that now we're up, and then that they're like now the next team is trailing and they're still scoring, but it's just at a slower pace. You know what I mean?
And I. It's exactly what you're saying, because when our defense gave us the ball, when I played, we wanted 6.
Right.
To go down and get 3 is kind of wasted their time. So, or if they get a major stop, we want to go down and get 6. 3s lose you games. That's why I'm not a big fan of kickers, but I'm a big fan of guys that score touchdowns. Kickers only have 2 things. To tie a game to keep it going or to win the game. I don't need you being a part of the scoring escapade. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But anyway, I know what you're saying, because 3s and turnovers, that's what we look at. If they give us an opportunity and we put them in a bad position by turning the ball over, and they just only give up 3 that's a victory.
Yeah.
Now we need to go down and get 6.
Right.
We need to go down there and get that 7.
Didn't you play on a team, though, that had like 12 field goals in one game, and that's how they got the win?
Which game was
it?
that?
Chris Bonio? Was it the
That
Eagles?
was his name?
I can't remember. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
maybe that's what. I don't know.
But we had to
Every
do it.
once in a while. Exactly.
Yeah, we did. We had to, but
Just find a way.
I'm going to tell you something, man. That was a different style of game.
It was. It definitely was.
Them boys
right now.
Them Eagles was a beast.
Yeah.
That was a lot like vintage Purdue football in the Big Ten.
That was a beast, boy. Ooh, don't even bring that up, my friend.
All right, well, we're going to take our second break now, and when we come back, we're going to keep up our chat here with former Cowboys Pro Bowl defensive end Anthony Spencer, taking a look at today's Cowboys and kind of what we've seen so far as Nate tries to swallow the pill that is 12 field goals against the Eagles. We'll be back in a moment here on the SWBC Cowboys Crosstalk.
Clear.
Go Cowboys! Back to SWBC Mortgage's Dallas Cowboys Crosstalk.
Yeah, check this out.
Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
And welcome back to Cowboys Crosstalk, brought to you by our friends over at SWBC and also our friends over at Jack Black. Want to use what the pros use? Jack Black is the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit getjackblack.com today. Up here at the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco, we've got Nate Newton, 3-time Super Bowl champion, 6-time Pro Bowler, Corey Majors from 105.3 The Fan, and our Cowboys alum this evening, the Royal defensive end, Anthony Spencer. Guys, thanks so much for being here. Let's dive right back into it. We've got, let's talk about this Week 6 game for Dallas. And Week 5 against the Jets, they get 5 sacks. That's as many as they had in the first 4 games. And then they play like that against the Panthers. Only get 1 sack, are failing to get pressure on the quarterback as Nate Newton's trying to wrap his head around it. Anthony, as a defensive player, what do you make of this Dallas pass rush up to this point? Because it seems like they are struggling to find consistency getting in the backfield.
Just that. I mean, I feel like that's the hardest thing to be in football is consistent. You know what I mean? Because everyone sees who you are and they're trying to stop you from being that. You know what I mean? So it's just try to be consistent. I feel like that's the hardest thing to do in this league. But you got to find some way to try to, you know what I mean, create it with pressures, with blitzing, or some way. But it has to be created somehow.
You know, one of the things that Brian Broaddus says that Reggie White hated playing against Eric Williams.
Yes.
Because Eric Williams would do anything it took to defeat him that day.
That's right.
And when you watch this game that Tommy's talking about, it did feel like I see a play with Guyton throwing a guy on the ground. I was like, I need more of that right there. That physicality in the trenches is where that starts.
Right.
And I don't know how you go into a game on any given Sunday and don't have that. Can y'all explain how that happens, or you just get hit in the mouth and then you don't know how to respond?
He was at Purdue, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's Big Ten, right?
Big Ten.
He was bred that way. The game is not bred that way for every player nowadays.
Right.
And if you don't have a couple of those guys that can show you the way, it's hard. I mean, we have – who do we have? We have Clark. Clark is not a bona fide pass rush. He's an A1 run stopper.
Yep.
But it's hard for him because he don't have enough guys coming and understanding how to fill their gaps.
Gotcha.
So right about now, you just have to, like you say, find a way. You know, hey, man, I'm not going to be moved out of this A-gap.
Right.
You know, I may have to give up a little bit of pass rush to make sure we don't give up the run. Or, you know what, I'm just going to shoot this gap, but I got to make the play.
And the Cowboys, their offense is, I think, one of the best offenses in the league. So they practice with each other. You know what I mean? And that's a big way of trying to get better. Right. You get better by playing against each other. Like our practices that we would have were, like I said, like we were playing college games. It felt like I was goddamn playing a game after practice. So it was just hard. Like, you got to make it hard in practice so when you get into the games that it just makes it more easier.
Nate was talking about the run, stopping the run and filling gaps and things like that. You know, when they made the Micah Parsons trade, the message was, hey, we can scheme pressure, but you can't scheme stopping the run. Well, it doesn't seem like they're doing a great job of stopping the run. When you look at the linebackers playing right now, it looks like they're, as again, Nate is starting to cry over here. Guys are either shooting the wrong gaps or they're kind of out of place. It seems like communication is something that by week 6, especially when a lot of these guys have spent mini camp and training camp together, you're more or less on the same page. How do you fix communication when guys are still maybe not as confident in what they're seeing and where they're supposed to be?
With that, just being confident in what you're doing and how you're doing it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like once I started to know the defense and what I was doing and how to do it, I played quick, fast. I wasn't thinking about where I was supposed to be or how I'm going to get there or any of that stuff. Like, I knew how I was going to do it, and I just knew how to execute. You know what I mean? And it just comes down to that execution. And you just got to exit. And it's a fight, you know what I mean? Because the other team is trying to stop you from executing. It's just like you have to want to be in that gap more than the other guy doesn't want you in that gap when it comes down to pretty much. It's hard though. I mean, it's hard out there.
These guys are getting paid just as much. And
they do.
And physicality too has been something that Brian Schottenheimer's talked about in terms of, hey, we're going to be a physical football team. But he admitted it too. They were not the more physical football team in Carolina, and it really kind of reared its ugly teeth defensively.
He did kind of mention a couple times this week playing fast, and they want him to play fast. Do you think they're going to try and streamline some things differently? How do you guys feel like what they're going to do to make these guys be able to play fast?
Well, something that I can lead Anthony into this is, there's been the conversation of, okay, we need to make things simpler on defense, right? We need to simplify the play calls and things like that. And Matt Eberflus's defense, it's a 4-3, and when they have been playing at their best, and it stops in Chicago, Indianapolis, and even when he was a linebackers coach in Dallas, they stop the run well, and they turn the ball over. They've won the turnover battle the last 3 games, but it hasn't really meant much because they're giving 400 yards up on offense. So in terms of how much simpler can it get to be able to put guys in the right position, and does simplicity mean that things are necessarily going to get better?
I feel like they will play faster. And when you're thinking a lot, like when you're out there and you get up into a block and you're like, oh, maybe I'm supposed to be here, you're like that hesitation or that little uncertainty, it slows you down a lot. Like, in the game is like seconds. You know what I mean? Like 3 seconds, the play's over with. You know what I mean? So if that little hesitation, like that's half the play right there. So it's just like when you simplify it, it makes you play faster, but you have to execute better.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the execution has to be
Perfect.
perfect.
Yeah. These guys, offense and defensive coordinators, are too smart. When they say, hey, man, this is a 4-3. Guy over the tackle, guy over the guard. They ain't moving.
Right.
They barely running any games. That's run games.
They know what plays
games.
to run
we know
against
what's
that
we've been to light them up.
Yeah.
A lot of Jets. Jets did not move. They stayed basic. We had them alive. We outquicked them. We were more confident. You come up to the next team, they moved a little bit. We didn't move at all.
Right.
And it hurt us. We played fast. We played simple. But you got to understand, that offensive coordinator was reading us like a book.
Right. And I feel like each week in the NFL, what you did last week is not going to work next week. You know what I mean? Like, they're too smart. Like, you have to, especially if it worked the week prior. Like, if you did something well that week, the next week they're going to be attacking what you did well. So you have to find a way to disguise what you're doing to be able to do it well. Yeah, I mean, because once they know what you're doing, it's like, we know what plays to run against
Right, you've got it on tape.
Right, yeah. So it's a copycat league. But it's like who can make the best adjustments the fastest.
Right, and along with it being a copycat league, you were kind of mentioning it's a week-to-week league where it seems like now there's so much parity across the board. And Brian Schottenheimer is talking about it. Jerry Jones is talking about it. Does it seem like this is, as you watch games around the league and you think back to when you were playing, does it seem like this is the most parity this league has had in a long time?
I would have to say, like, it's still. I feel like it's still early in the season, just because like what I was just saying, like because teams watching other teams and they're preparing. Like even though you may not be playing against that team or that week, like you're still putting in plays and things, getting ready for that team. You know what I mean? Like so everybody is getting ready, like is ready for everybody right now. But once like you start to get tired and the injuries and the just the football starts. Like, life starts lifing against your team. You know what I mean? Like that's when you're like it starts to separate. Like who's gonna have something to lean on, like their foundation. Who has the strongest foundation? And that's basically who ends up winning the Super Bowl every year. Like the team that believes in what they're doing the most and does it the best.
And the least amount of injuries.
Yeah.
Right.
Man, injuries are key.
Yeah. The thing that I see in this league right now, the owners they probably having a Zoom meeting like, brother, we got this thing rolling. We got more 4-2 teams than you can shake a stick at.
Yeah.
I mean, and so, because I'm teasing these guys, I went on one of their shows, and I'm teasing them all game about their power rankings. Everybody got all different type power rankings from week to week.
Right.
It ain't like, okay, it's Kansas City for 5 straight weeks, or it's Buffalo for 8 straight weeks. It's up and down. The gambit is big. I'm liking it. A lot of people thinking that it's sloppy football. I don't think so. People are getting better at blocking field goals, blocking extra points.
Yeah.
The return game is better.
It's changed.
So people got a shorter distance to go. The game is exploding. This is what the fans fought for and want. And now it looks like sloppy football because if you start on the 50 or the 45, most kickers saying, hey, get it to the other guy's 30. You in the house. Them kickers y'all love.
Yeah.
What are you looking at me for? I never said anything about kickers.
No, I'm just trying to look at you.
I feel a lot of teams also are just building their teams for other teams.
That's
I
right.
mean, they know each other so well now. It's like they are getting personnel to be able to combat
in their division.
division, right? So you might see
some.
someone get whooped outside the division, then come back inside the division and either King Kong.
Yeah, Parcells talked about that a lot whenever he was
He
here.
taught Jimmy that.
Yeah, he definitely
taught
did.
Jimmy that, man. Yeah.
All right, we're going to head to our third break, but before we go, I'm going to pose a question to the three of you, and we're going to talk about it when we come back in addition to Dallas's upcoming game this week against the Washington Commanders on Sunday. In a week-to-week league that the NFL is right now, we talked about parity.
Right.
How do you find consistency? How do you find consistency, and how do you build on it so that you can take being 2-3-1 like the Cowboys are now, and when these games get close, like they have 4 out of 6 times this year, you come out on the winning end? That'll be up next when we return on the SWBC Cowboys Crosstalk.
Get a kicker.
Clear.
Go Cowboys! Back to SWBC Mortgage's Dallas Cowboys Crosstalk.
Yeah, check this out.
Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
Welcome back to Cowboys Crosstalk here from the Star in Frisco at the Cowboys Club, presented by our friends at SWBC and SWBC. Customized solutions for individuals and businesses are just a click away. Visit SWBC.com to learn more and start your next adventure. Turn the lights out on us a little bit here. It's all good. Welcome back to Cowboys Crosstalk. I'm Tommy Yarsh from DallasCowboys.com. We've got Corey Majors from 105 Through the Fan here next to me. The 3-time Super Bowl champion and 6-time Pro Bowler Nate Newton, and our special guest tonight, Cowboys Pro Bowl defensive end Anthony Spencer. All right, fellas, going into the break, we posed a question for you guys. We talked about a week-to-week league in the third segment. The NFL is right now. When it's so week-to-week, when things can change on a dime, how do you find consistency? Anthony, we'll start with you.
Oh, I feel like consistency starts at practice. Like, you have to find it in your daily routine. You know what I mean? Like, in the things that you do on a day-to-day basis, in the locker room, out of the locker room, in the weight room, on the practice field. Like, you got to be the same person. Like, it starts with there. And once you kind of start doing that, it kind of trickles along throughout your life, I feel like.
How the Rangers get?
Okay, that's what I'm actually going to use a baseball.
Right.
A baseball
Welcome
term.
back to Rangers Crosstalk.
Because when Bruce Bochy was here, he was very high on confidence, and for athletes, I think confidence is such a big deal. But you can't gain confidence going into it going, man, this is the most complex thing you've ever seen. Good luck. Start small.
Right.
And we were kind of talking about that a minute ago. Start small with the streamlining the offense, the defense a little bit, whatever it is, and then add a little bit here, add a little bit there. Once these guys start believing oh man, I'm unbeatable.
Oh, I can do this.
Yeah, and then you continue to stack that up a little bit. But I think that is you got it. Confidence is the important part for consistency because you got to do the small things first, and then you can do more complex things.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. You can't add more to what these two gentlemen said. I mean, you just have to the routine. I tell every kid, get up in the morning, stretch, think about what you've done the day before, whether it was good or bad. Get rid of the bad if you can, improve on the bad, or enhance your goodness. Just be consistent in who you are. And that's what I think Coach Schottenheimer is trying to do.
Yeah.
He's trying to be consistent in what he's doing, what he's preaching. We've seen it offensively, but he's the master over all of this. He is the coordinator over the offense and the defense, so he's going to be held responsible for this defense. He's got to find a way, him and Coach Eberflus, to get guys, like you say, believing in the little things, doing the extra. This is not college. You don't have no classes. Your wife, your kids, and everybody got to understand, this is how I eat. Let me get this going for this next 2 or 3 months, and we'll go party, we'll go vacation wherever. But right now, Daddy needs to work. Daddy got blew off the line 20 yards. Daddy needs to work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, some tough at-home conversations going on. Thanks for that insight, Nate.
Yeah, not tonight, baby. Daddy's got to work.
Extra film work.
Yeah.
You can't even transition from that. So the Cowboys have Washington coming up this week. Anthony, do you remember any games or players that you went against in your playing days that stood out from them?
For Washington, yeah. I mean, we played them twice a year, and RG, I remember Clinton Portis was there.
Oh, man, he was nice. He was nice.
Yeah, Cooley, he had a good tight end. They've always had a good offense, I'd say. They always had someone that scores touchdowns.
Yeah, and they've got another one this year, and Jaden Daniels, the second-year quarterback. They got the third best rushing offense in the league, and you think about this Dallas defense so far, and you think, oh no. But when you look back to last year, Dallas did, I think, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, one of the better jobs defensively in kind of limiting his game. How do they find that same success when they're having the defensive struggles they are?
I feel like just the fact that they're playing against Washington. Like, when they play New York, they play Washington, they play the Eagles, like they're going to play. You know what I mean? It's just like how everybody gets up for the Cowboys. Like, everybody's going to give the Cowboys a good game because they're the Cowboys. And I feel the same way with the Cowboys inside of their division because it all, like, for a long time, everything went through the East. So it was like that was the passageway. So I feel like they're gonna bring their A game just because of the way that they lost, and even like when I be watching the Cowboys now, like I feel like it's the change. Some change is starting to happen just because of the way the fight that they have. Like I feel like they know that they're outmanned, or they know that they're not the top dog as they have been in the past. So it's like they're trying to prove themselves, and I feel like that's very, very important for, especially the defense that they have now. Like guys that really don't know any of them. So it's like you have this opportunity to be known, and you have the field and these plays. All you gotta do is make plays, and like. That's what you grow up as a kid wanting to do, and I feel like the opportunity that the Cowboys defense has right now is like wide open for superstars to happen. You know what I mean? But they have to want that and believe that they can be that. You know what I mean? But it's a long process.
Nate, I can't wait for the rest of this team to play with the mentality that I see Dak playing with right now. Dak looked from game one this year. He's just looked more confident. He has this different swagger. I mean, the spit moment against Philadelphia, that was a moment right there where he knew I got you. I got you out of the game. I just did that, and he just has this confidence. And I can't wait for the rest of the group to have that same kind of vibe, because going to having Washington on your plate is you got a tough defense that you got to handle, because they're going to bring it at you. But on the other side of the ball too, their offense can be explosive. Now, Jerry told us last year that Kingsbury's offense is kind of predictable, and I was like, I'm sorry, hold on, what? But then the Cowboys went out and stopped them, and so I was like, okay, this is pretty impressive. But I want to see. Do we know the health on McLaurin yet?
Was limited today in practice.
Okay,
it's
all
the
right.
first time he's practiced, I think, in a couple of weeks. He's missed the last 3 games.
Yeah. Okay, all right. That's one right there. That dude right there can burn, man. He can absolutely burn.
Yes.
Wow. But it's still going to be one of those battles. You guys know.
Right. You always have to play the game, and that's what I love about football. Like, you can be better than whoever on paper. Like, everybody, you can say whatever on paper, but when the game has actually been played, like, you don't know what's going through anybody's mind. Like, everybody has to show up. You gotta be there every day. So,
I agree 100%.
And I think it's interesting you mentioned that the Cowboys are a team that everybody kind of gets up for, right?
For sure.
You play your A game. As a player for you and Nate, is it like, come on, guys?
Nate started that. they caused it.
So did you say, thanks, man?
Right.
Yeah, thanks, Bob Lilly.
That is a good point there.
What's it like? That is obviously, I can only imagine how taxing that is when you have 17 straight games of, man, we're just getting everybody's best shot. Does it make the wins that much sweeter?
I believe so, yes, because everybody talks about the Cowboys when they win or when they lose, but when we're winning, it's positive. Like, everybody wants to hear the positive stuff, but it makes the journey throughout the season funner. You know what I mean? Winning is fun.
Winning is fun.
Winning is fun.
But everybody knows that if they have the interception or the sack or whatever against the Cowboys, they're going to be on SportsCenter all week, because every topic's going to be the Cowboys.
About the Cowboys. And I feel like that's very important for the Cowboys players to know, too, because if they're the ones making those plays, doing that, like, they could be the ones being talked about as well. So,
well, Anthony, we'll close with this. We'll keep it on these Cowboys. We mentioned your playing days with Tony when he was playing some of his best football.
yes.
How do the Cowboys capitalize on the way Dak Prescott's playing right now?
Got to win the turnover battle, man. Just get them the ball 1-2 times throughout the game. Get a field goal when they're about to score a touchdown. Like, just show up 1-2 plays. That's really all it takes. You know what I mean? Like, 1-2 plays throughout the game where the defense makes a play. It could turn the whole game around.
But only a field goal to win it, right, Nate? Like,
Field goal to win it and tie. Field goal to tie to keep it going, or field goal to win it to close it out. If you're doing anything else, it's a waste of time.
Well, we've got our kicker aficionado, Nate Newton, here with us tonight.
I used to kick in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How did that go?
Not too good. That's why I moved the offensive line.
All right. Anthony, were you a kicker in high school too?
No,
or?
no.
But you did play on the offensive side of the ball.
I was a running back in high school.
I see that.
For real?
Yeah, I played
Wow,
running back.
man.
Yeah, my senior year, I still in the record books. I averaged 9.1 yards a carry.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
I was hard to
I
tackle.
played
I was hard to
fullback
tackle.
my senior year. I played fullback.
All
And
right,
then one
so-
time I had a chance to score a touchdown. The quarterback did a quarterback sneak.
Kept it itself.
Yeah, that's
Typical.
all right.
Well, maybe one day we'll see the backfield of Nate Newton and Anthony Spencer.
Scatterboo.
But for now,
Scatterboo.
for now, that'll do it for us here on Cowboys Crosstalk, presented by our friends over at SWBC. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. For Corey Majors, Nate Newton, and our incredible guest, Anthony Spencer, and all the folks in the back, Devin Gray, Ivan Zaniga, Yasmin Shannon, Allison Ramirez, and Paul Bastidas, I'm Tommy Yarge. Good night.
This has been a production